As a medical laboratory scientist, their communication is both verbal and written. To learn more about this, I interviewed Dr. LP. She is a medical laboratory science professor at Oakland University. She has a master's in medical laboratory science and a PhD in cancer cell biology. Dr. LP goes into detail about how, as a research medical laboratory scientist specializing in cancer, there are different types of languages she uses for different audiences. Dr. LP states, in a presentation to my professional group or a science conference, I can speak more deeply about the science than I can with my students. This simply means she can use a more complicated language than she can with students. Dr. LP states, in a class, however, I am very frank about what it is that makes a cell a cancer cell, so I can't talk about my findings as exciting in a presentation to my colleagues. This is where she has used a watered-down version of her complicated findings within her medical laboratory science cancer research. Here is an overview of a sample lab report a medical laboratory scientist would see on a daily basis. On top, the lab report includes patient's name, patient ID, patient's birth date, the sex of the patient, the source of specimen, date collected, time and initials of the patient, physician who needed it, the location of where the lab was taken place, and the diagnosis the medical laboratory scientist believes it is. Here is the bottom portion of the lab report. These are all the different types of tests the doctor wants to have ran. Next to each test, the medical laboratory scientist will write down the results. Lab labels are used to distinguish each lab specimen. Without the labels, both doctors and medical laboratory scientists would not be able to tell which specimen belongs to which patient. The verbal communication process. It goes from the medical laboratory scientist, the doctor, then the patient. As each step of the process went on, information was lost. This only hurt the patients by leaving them confused about their lab results. A solution came about when medical laboratory scientists were granted permission to speak with patients one-on-one about their results, not just the doctor having contact with the patients speaking to them about their results. The regulation states, the scope of the new rule applies to all laboratory tests, regardless of whether the test results could be characterized as sensitive, such as those related to genetics, cancer, pregnancy, sexually transmitted disease, or mental health. A typical workday for a medical laboratory scientist includes working with a small group of other scientists. Employers constantly cite communication and collaboration skills as some of the most valued skills in employees. This pertains to medical laboratory scientists especially. This is important to medical laboratory scientists because they are always problem-solving in a small group. Without having proper communication skills to convey their problem or solution, the lab would not be able to run smoothly. Overall, in the field of medical laboratory science, the communication is between each other and between a scientist and a doctor. The forms of communication used is a mixture of written documentation and face-to-face contact.
Created using Powtoon.